Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Nick
I'm Noah.
from Top Notch Sports, and today we're going to go over the 2023 NFL mock draft for the Detroit Lions and the 32 GM content creator mock draft event that we had. Noah, I'll let you start. Tell me your experience. You represent the Lions. What did you think about the entire thing, and so on and so forth?
I had a great time trying to figure out the whole thing, recruiting pages, getting, guys we trust in. I had a great time talking with a lot of other pages about trades. I had a lot of time or great time just, scouting guys extra. It was a great time. Definitely excited for next year's event. We're going to make it bigger and better for sure. Yeah, no, overall, I think I had a great draft. I mean, I didn't use all 9 of the picks that the Lions have. I kind of shook everything up, but I, made the Ed Oliver trade and then did a bunch of trades throughout the draft, just trying to get the base needs that we needed for the Lions and what I would like to see. I think pretty much that's all it is. I'm happy with how I did.
Absolutely. And again, we have our guys that are going to grade you, and we'll see your grade at the end. And again, I don't even know what that is, but the thing is that at the end of the day, did you make this team a championship roster? And when I look at the team that you built, without giving any spoilers away, I think that you got a team that can compete for a championship. So again, I mean, I'm only one person. I've been pounded because I know all you personally. The other guys that I'm dealing with, they don't know you guys. So I've been trying to pound the table, trying to raise some of these grades up for everybody. And they're unbiased, man. I'm a little bit biased. I'm trying to raise some grades. They don't want to hear it. They want to give out they like to give out low grades. I'm not a huge fan, but it is what it is. So ultimately, though, you made moves, and know what? I think the fans are going to respect that you went out and you made some trades. And, it's not the same old boring mock draft that they see every single day of the week. So it's an interesting draft. I liked what you did. And we're going to keep this thing going here. So right now, real fast before we do that, plug your page. Let them know a little bit about your page.
It's Lions Analyst on Instagram, just how you spell it, no spaces, no extra anything. Go ahead, drop a follow. It'd be greatly appreciated. Once the draft closes, I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff about draft grades, where I think guys are going to be starting, what I think we're going to do with the offense, what I think we're going to do with the defense, stuff like that. It's been really quiet as of right now. There's no news besides the Jameson Williams stuff and all the other guys that are involved in that. But once the season kind of gets rolling and we get further into after the draft and into training camp, the page is going to be rocking. And yeah, make sure you guys, if you guys are a Lions fan, hit that little follow button on Instagram and drop me a follow. It'd be greatly appreciated.
I don't care if you're a Vikings fan, a Packers fan, a Bears fan. You go give this guy a follow. He does incredible work. And I mean, the stuff that you do behind the scenes too has been absolutely phenomenal. So again, I appreciate it and everything that you're doing going forward. We'll see what we got. But all right, long story short, let's hop into these slides now.
180. 180, set.
All right, here we go. Let's start right here. Dan Campbell. What's your thoughts on this guy?
I love him, man. I mean, it's hard not to love him as a Lions fan after the guys that we've had the last few years. That guy from New England wasn't very great, and it's just great to see a breath of fresh air into our team. Even if you just look on the social medias, all the guys, all position groups are always on each other's social medias, hype each other up, talking stuff like that. So it's just great to see, that our guys are able to have their own personalities on our team. And they're able to be themselves rather than when we had Patricia, it was, all business. And it's just a great thing to see. And it's a great thing for the culture. And the team's trending upwards, definitely.
For sure. And again, as a non-Lions fan, I mean, I'm not a rival of you guys, but I love this guy. I love this guy's personality. I love him. He's a leader of men. I think that he is a really awesome coach. And I think that he can bring you guys eventually to the promised land. Now, again, is he the most strategic coach in the world? No. Does he know all the X's and O's? I honestly don't think so. But I'll tell you something. This guy, he can get you fired up, and I want to play for him. If I'm a player, this is a coach I want to play for. So, again, I think he's changed the culture of this team. And like you said, he's a lot. I just, the New England way, being a Raiders fan, I know how that goes. Okay, with Josh McDaniels. So I feel your pain with Matt Patricia, but I'm very happy that you guys were able to bring in Dan Campbell. So, all right, let's go now to the next slide. Here we are here. Here's my grading scale, okay? And this is a scale that we use to grade you, okay? So there's three or four guys I did it with to break it down. So there's 4 different things that we're going to grade here. Your trading, your drafting as a whole, your talent that you drafted, and need, okay? And again, I want to make this clear here again on air. We grade pretty low. We're conservative graders. We want, though, you know, when we go back and reevaluate, we'd rather give you a higher grade than lower you down. And a quick example, though, here is we're going to give you a number grade and a letter grade. And as you can see, a 50 looks pretty dang horrible, right? When you get a 50, you think F. Well, in our grade scale, it's actually a C+. So understand that the number isn't that bad. I mean, it looks bad, but just look at the letter grade attached to it. Another example I love to use is this one, a B+. A B+ in real life is like an 88, 89. Well, in our grade scale, it's only a 75. So again, it looks ugly. Promote the letter grade, not the number grade. Does all that make sense with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's get on to the next slide now. Here we are. Here's your actual depth chart. So I'll let you break this down. Tell the people what you think about this roster right now with the Detroit Lions.
I think it's a great roster. It's got a lot of the defense is still very young, but there is good chunks of age and veteran starters on the defense. You know, we've got Isaiah Buggs, who's not been a great player his whole career, came to Detroit, made a huge step, and that defensive tackle room is just going to continue to improve under him, especially if we can add a nice rookie. You look at the secondary last year, you could tell they were very young. They were all inexperienced. And, you know, right now we've got Sutton, Mosley, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and then you look up top at Tracy Walker. Just it's completely full of veterans who can still play at a top level, but they can transition down to our younger guys and can help them improve. So when those guys leave, they're going to be perfectly fine, you know, in the linebacker group as well. And the offense as well. The offense is way on the younger side, but there are veterans. Our entire offensive line, besides Sewell, is all guys that have been in the league for 3-4 years at least. They know what they're doing. Overall, the roster's got, you know, there's sides of it that are too young, but there's also sides of it where it's perfect, and it's just a great offense as of right now. It's looking really good.
Absolutely. I mean, again, you guys go out, you bring in David Montgomery, you pair him up with DeAndre Swift. I like both of those guys. Penny Sewell is a monster. Love that draft pick when you brought him in. Wide receiving room, you know, I like Josh Reynolds too. I mean, he was a guy that you brought in, you know, as a free agent. How did he do for you? Did he play that at all last year or not really?
I think he's been with us this is going to be his 3rd year now. His first year, he didn't play crazy amount. He did get a decent amount of snaps, though. Last year, he got a decent amount of snaps. I think this year he's going to decrease his snaps with once Jameson comes back from his suspension, but I still think he's going to be a great 3rd option for us. So he's going to still continue to produce for us.
Absolutely. And again, like I remember when he's a pretty big guy that runs pretty fast, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
big and he's fast. He's physical.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of the other receiver that you guys need. I mean, Williams is a burner. Amon-Ra St. Brown's phenomenal. Josh Reynolds is another piece. But again, maybe you add another receiver or something, you know, long term, eventually, like down the line. You know, Cam Sutton's a guy you bring in free agency. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think that one might have been like the steal of free agency. Phenomenal signing for you guys. And like you said, the defensive line, you know, Aiden Hutchinson played great. I remember James Houston played pretty good in the limited snaps that he played for you guys last year. I think he had a few sacks. But overall, let me ask you this. Biggest weakness on this team, and what do you think is the biggest strength?
The biggest weakness is definitely our linebacking core, coverage linebackers especially. Rodriguez is good, but he's not an every down linebacker. I think he's getting way too much hype from Lions fans. Mostly because he was, you know, 5th or 6th round pick or wherever he was drafted, and he came in and he was a stud right away. And then Anzalone, he's not bad, but he's not phenomenal. So it's definitely like our interior linebacker, coverage linebacker is our weakest position group. And then our strongest position group undoubtedly has to be the offensive line. You know, it's in my opinion, it's a top 3 offensive line, and it shows through our run game. And I think, you know, we're going to be pretty good, I think.
Yeah. For sure. And like I said, I love, and look, it just that when the run games work and the offensive line's playing as tough as they are, Penny Sewell is one of those guys too that plays with just pure toughness. it all fits the Dan Campbell mindset. We're going to bite their kneecaps off. So long story short, love this guy, love this team. I can't wait to see what they do. So now let's see the moves that you made during this mock draft. Here are the moves that you made. Okay, so first I'm going to break down the trades that you made, and then we're going to look at the draft picks. So real fast too, just make sure that all this is right again, because if not, then we'll go back and edit it. But I'm pretty sure this is what it looked like on draft day. You received, so we're just going to look at you received and what you traded, ultimately. In general, you got, at the end of the day, Ed Oliver, defensive tackle for the Bills. You got the 15th overall pick, the 98th overall pick, 181, next year's 5th, and next year's 7th. You gave up Vaitai, the 18th overall pick, the 26th overall pick, 48, 81, 90, 91, 153, 183, 194, and a 5th next year. So ultimately what I'm seeing here is you moved up 3 spots. You picked up one in the 3rd round. You got 181. I believe that might have been straight up for Vaitai, if I'm not mistaken. And Ed Oliver, again, to come in and play defensive tackle. Break down your trade, what your thought process here was, and so on and so forth.
So originally we were at pick number 6 and pick number 18. And before the draft, I made a trade with the Cowboys to move back to 26 because I kind of thought I could get Porter there at 26. Just because of the way some guys were talking, I figured I'd get a little bit of extra value. I think I got like 26 and like a 3rd or something like that. And I moved back. And then through the 1st round, I was looking, and a lot of the guys were talking about, corners are falling. I might get a guy. And that's when I realized, okay, we got the Commanders who need a corner. We need the Steelers who needed a corner. And there was another team right behind them. I don't remember who it was. They needed a corner as well. And so that's when I traded up with the Packers at 15, I think. And that's when I took Joey Porter. I love Joey Porter. I think he's going to be a complete stud, And so, like, if you look at, obviously, if you just compare what I received for trade and what I gave away, I definitely lose in that category. But then if you look at what I got value-wise for players, and, getting rid of Vaitai's contract, I think I win in that category. I gave up a lot of later round picks, but I also moved up and I made trades to, get guys that are perfect for depth and perfect guys that I think can develop behind the starters and eventually take that starter role. And I think overall, I'm very happy with my draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, like you made moves to get guys that were good football players. I mean, again, looking at your draft, I mean, especially in my opinion, your first 3 picks,
Yeah.
And another thing too, like you said with Joey Porter, I mean, cornerbacks really started flying off the board in our mock draft, like you said. So you had to make a move. And I'll be honest with you, the Steelers would have absolutely taken Joey Porter Jr. if you did not go up and grab him. So you go up, you ultimately take Joey Porter. That was a good move. So let's now go to your draft picks. The guys in purple are guys that you take at your original picks. Guys in blue you took with the picks that you traded for or your unoriginal picks. So let's start with the first guy, edge rusher Tyree Wilson. What do you think about him and why was he your selection?
The last few weeks, I've been seeing a lot of things about how Dan Campbell, he likes James Houston, but James Houston, again, it's the same situation with Malcolm Rodriguez where he's not an every down edge rusher. He's going to come in 3rd and 4th down, rush the quarterback, stuff like that, where we need another edge rusher on that outside that can play 75, 80% of snaps of a game. And you pair him with Hutch, it's just a perfect connection. You look at back when Hutch was at Michigan, he had David Ojabo on his other side. And that was why Hutch was so dominant, is because he had that other dominance on the other side. You couldn't just double team him. So I think you go and get Tyree Wilson where, edge isn't a need for us, but we only have one true guy that it could be a future at our position for that position. So I go up and Wilson's there at six. I have to take him. He's right there for me.
Absolutely. I mean, again, and you know what? That was kind of the first shock of the draft for me was when Seattle actually went and took Carter, because I could have swore he was going to go out and take Tyree Wilson, but he goes out and takes Jalen Carter. Look, Tyree Wilson, man, I love this guy. He's my 2nd ranked edge rusher. I may be making the move to putting him at number 1. I'm so up in the air. I mean, the draft's coming around a day from what are we? Today's Tuesday. So 2 days from today, it's interesting. I'm not sure what I want to do yet though with him, but I mean, absolutely a phenomenal player, huge guy, long arms. There's really not much that he can't do. You know what I mean? On the football field. And like you said, Is it the biggest, most glaring need? No, right? I think we can both say no for the Lions. But let's be honest though here though too. I mean, you're taking probably, in my opinion, the best player on the board at your spot. And like you said, you put Tyree Wilson on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. This might be the most dominant edge rushing duo, especially youth wise, in the National Football League. Tyree Wilson, 6'6, 271, has a 35-inch reach. And I think that he's one of the most interesting guys I've watched in a long time. So I'm a fan of that pick. And let's go to the next guy, cornerback Joey Porter Jr.
We just traded Okuda. He hasn't been developing like we needed him to. I would have liked to seen another year out of him, but it's good value. Trade him, get something out of him before, he just walks in free agency. And I think, like I said, where I was at, even if I would have stayed at 18, I definitely wouldn't have been able to take him. He would have been gone. So, trade up and get him. We lock in that third corner position. I would hopefully like to see if we do end up getting him playing inside and kind of have that safety over the top to add him with, especially as a rookie. I think he could definitely, once Mosley and Sutton leave, if they do leave eventually, I do think he could take over that starting corner role. But just for his development as a rookie, sticking him inside, keeping him in the nickel, dime package type stuff like that, that would be perfect for him. And that would just solidify our secondary even more.
Absolutely. And again, Joey Porter Jr. is a guy that, was ranked around 7 for me on my board. Might be going up though too. Cause again, you gotta love his physical, 6'2", 193, 446, 40. He's a tall guy. He has pretty dang good speed, not phenomenal speed, right? Not those 4.3s, 4.2s, but 4.46. Drives back on the football, can blitz off the edge. He's kind of what I consider a Detroit Lions type of defensive back. This is a guy that's not afraid to hit you, can play man or zone, do a little bit of everything. So again, you go, and like I said, I know you keep on saying too, like you had to go up and get this guy. Absolutely. And like I said, on paper, right, when we look at this over here, this might not look great on paper, but when you go up and get a guy that you think can be, that future, cornerstone of your team, I don't care what you got to get up, especially because you know why? You're going to have the last laugh if Joey Porter Jr. ends up being, the superstar draft pick in the entire draft. So I personally, like I said, if that's your guy, you go up and get him. I have no problem with that at all. Let's go to your next guy, running back Zach Charbonnet.
I like him a lot. I've watched a lot of his film. He's a guy that I would love for us to take in the third round, or if he's there in the fourth, early fourth. I don't even know if we have a fourth. I think we have like a third and a fifth or something like that. But, just either way, I would love for him to come to this football team, come to Detroit, show us what he can do, especially with DeAndre Swift. There's rumors of him, not being on the team next year. I think it's possible. If we get a running back in the draft, we could trade Swift in the draft even. I think it's possible. I think once his rookie deal is up, we're just going to let him walk. And that's why, we brought in David Montgomery, and I think we bring in another running back to replace Swift. It'd just be perfect. He's almost the exact same type of player. He's kind of smaller. He's shifty. He's strong. He can just make plays. And if we could just get younger at the running back position and get cheaper at the running back position, that would allow us to then next free agency go out and get some of the studs that are going to be in free agency and really turn this team into a Super Bowl roster.
Absolutely. And again, Zach Charbonnet, 6'2", 214, ran a 4.53 40. He's a guy that can be a workhorse in this league. He's honestly my number 2 ranked running back out of this year's draft class. You got him in the third round. Some people can question the need, but you clearly explained why this guy is chosen, because again, you got aspiring contracts next year. And maybe this guy is the one that slips into being your starter over the next, maybe not this upcoming season, but maybe over the next, 3 seasons after this season. You have one again. I feel like you hit on, you got my number 2 or not, possibly number 1 ranked edge rusher when it's all said and done. And then you take my number 2 ranked running back in the third round. So far, on at least my agenda, I'm looking at the guys that you're taking are high quality players. Now some people may question what, if it was the, most needful position. But again, the Lions have a pretty dang solid roster. And, when you can get the best player on the board at the time, you're getting great talent, So again, you get Zach Charbonnet. I'm a huge fan of this guy. I think he could be really special. Let's go to your next pick, tight end Luke Schoonmaker.
Tight end position is definitely one of our biggest positions of need. After trading Hockenson, some may argue there was a drop in the tight end position in their what's the word? Production, that's the word. But I don't feel that way. I feel that the tight end position actually elevated after Hawkinson left. But we don't have a true tight end at that position. And at my two first round picks, I was thinking about Darnell Washington. He wasn't there in the third, obviously. And I just went with one of my top tight ends, Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan. He's going to be a guy that can go fill right in. We'll have 2-3 tight ends that are above average. And again, it's just going to be a cheap contract that is just going to help us in the future.
Yeah. I mean, again, and this guy's a big guy too, 6'5", 251. Yeah. He seemed quick on film for me. I would like to see him run a little bit faster 40, but again, it's not bad. I mean, 4.63, it's not to the level of, what you see some of these other guys run nowadays. But one thing that I liked about him is, he seems to be, like the quarterback's best friend, I call it. The guy that's consistently, the check down, open in the zone. He's good at snapping his head around and immediately, runs his, I'm trying to say when he gets to the top of his route and he cuts, he snaps his head around quickly, gets ready to catch that ball, and immediately, as soon as he breaks, he's ready to catch the football. And again, this is a guy with Jared Goff, right? I mean, you might need a safety valve. You got the burners. You got Jameson Williams. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, a very solid receiver. Well, now you just need a guy that can just sit in open zones and give you some, easy yards. And that could be this guy right here. So, all right, let's go with your 5th round pick, Aiden O'Connell.
Being a Michigan State fan, when we played Purdue, that kid tore us up. You look at his stats and it's not crazy. He didn't go, phenomenal. He's a guy I could honestly see him going 6th to 7th round. That's where I was going to draft him, but then our stream crashed and everybody's stuff screwed up. But he's a guy like Goff's contract is up in 2 years. There was no reason for me to try and take Will Levis or any other quarterback. I don't like Levis, and there just wasn't a quarterback that I valued at any of my picks. But I've been high on O'Connell since the end of the college football season. He's a guy that I would love to see come to Detroit and just learn behind Goff for 2 to 3 years. He's almost a carbon copy quarterback of Jared Goff, which I would not mind having. He's a little bit quicker. He's, makes his reads a little bit faster from what I've seen, but he's just a guy that I think just, with a good veteran quarterback teaching him and kind of training him up, he's a guy that could take over for our franchise and could be a complete steal if it works out.
Absolutely. And again, and even if he doesn't become the starter. I mean, this guy could be a guy that you guys grow over the next few years. God forbid, Goff or your future guy goes down. This is a nice young piece that you have that you can work with and can be possibly your long-term backup option. And again, people don't love backups, right? Oh, why'd you take a quarterback here? It's a late pick. He's not going to, well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, right? Nobody likes a backup until they're the most meaningful thing on the football team when the main quarterback goes down. So it's always important to have a good backup quarterback. And this is a guy that, like you said, maybe you can grow in the system, and who knows, maybe he does take over, long term. So, all right, there's that. Anything else, anything with this, regrets, things that you really like here, anything else you want to talk about before we go to the next slide?
I think I'm good.
All right, cool. All right, so let's go to the next slide now. All right, here we are. Here is Noah's GM moves. So guys in blue are the guys that you drafted. Guys in green are the guys that your team signed. Guys in pink are the guys that you traded for. So when you look at this roster, okay, just break it down real fast for me, and then we'll talk about our predictions here.
Quickly, everybody's in the draft. Everybody wants us to take Jalen Carter. I don't like Carter. I don't think he's going to be phenomenal. And I knew that if he did follow me at 6, I wasn't going to take him regardless. And so I figured the best option for me was to either take a guy in the later rounds or just make a big move. And that's why I traded for Ed Oliver, because it worked out both for me and for Bills, because he got some really quality draft picks out of the picks I sent him. I got some quality draft picks out of the stuff he sent me. And just more importantly, I filled up that interior defensive line. That was my number one thing in the draft, was or even the whole mock draft, entirely, trades, everything. Find a way to get Aleem McNeil, just another guy next to him that can also tear up the middle and shut the run down. And I think I did a great job of that. And then just everything else, draft-wise, like Tyree Wilson, Joey Porter, Schoonmaker, and Zach Charbonnet, it's just depth, and it's potential guys that could be studs in 2 to 3 years, and we have to re-sign guys like Panay, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, DeAndre Swift if we want to, Romeo, Hutchinson, Rodriguez, stuff like that. all of our guys that we're going to have big contracts. It's all things to save money, get cheap guys in that are going to produce, and just continue to better the roster.
All right. So yeah, you mentioned that. So now let me ask you this. Okay. I mean, again, you go out, you bring in some big name guys, right? You bring in the Joey Porter Jr., you bring in the Tyree Wilson, you bring in Luke Schoonmaker, right? You bring in all these guys. Then the team in real life brings in CJ Gardner Johnson, Cam Sutton, Manuel Mosley, Graham Glasgow, David Montgomery. You got Zach Charbonnet, who we did not list here because you already got Swift and Montgomery, but no, you also have a three-headed monster there. The Lions went 9-8 last year. Let me ask you this. What is your prediction? If they make the moves that you made, what's your prediction record-wise, NFC North-wise, and possibly even playoff-wise? How far do you think this team makes it?
I'm going to kind of shoot it down a little bit here. I don't think we're going to be as good as a lot of these Lions fans think we are going to be, just because the team is still so young. When Brad Holmes got hired in as the GM, he said it's going to be a 3 to 4 year process. And right now we're going into year 3. I definitely think we can take the NFC North. The Vikings last year showed that they're not as good of a football team as everybody thought they were, and their record was. The Packers are going to take a step back. I don't think it's going to be a huge step back, but it's not going to be. They're not going to be, competing for a playoff spot. In Chicago, I still think Chicago's team is still going to be way too young. Matt Eberflus, their whole coaching and GM, everybody in that roster, front office, they're all way too young still. They don't have that experience that you need for a deep playoff push. I think the Lions, unbiasedly, I think we have a great mix of young star talent and old star talent. I'm thinking genuinely 10 wins if we stay healthy and if everything goes perfectly, I could see us capping out at 12 to 13. But if we don't, I could see another 8 to 9 win season. And then playoff wise, I think if we do win the NFC North, I think we can win a wild card game. I think maybe the wild card is it. Maybe next season we'll really start to make a push. But I think wild card win and maybe a divisional round win, I think that's our cap. I don't see us going anything further than that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's very fair, your whole prediction there. Me personally, if these are the moves that you make, if the Lions go out and make these moves in real life, I feel like this team will probably end up going around 10-7 in the NFC North, finishing, it's either going to be second or third. And the NFC North is getting tougher. The Bears have made a lot of moves. The Packers are unloading, Rodgers and acquiring draft capital. But I think 10-7, battling for the number 2 seed in the NFC North. And then, like I said, I feel like if they make the playoffs, which I feel like they can with 10-7, again, I think right around what you said. I think they can win the wild card game, and they're probably going to be fighting in that divisional round. And hey, who the hell knows? I mean, if you can win that divisional game, man, it can just keep going. You can just keep going. So you never know. All right, now I'm going to flip back and forward. Your roster, real life. Your roster, real life. Your roster, real life. So I'm just going to real fast. You add Joey Porter Jr., you add Tyree Wilson, you add Luke Schoonmaker. Okay. Those are and Ed Oliver. I'm sorry, I almost messed up with Ed Oliver, him too. So now looking at the real life thing. Okay. Here's your team. What do you think they attack in the first round, possibly on Thursday?
I think we're going to go Tyree Wilson if he's there. I don't think he'll be there. I think Seattle's going to be smart and take him at 5. And, I think maybe if Will Anderson falls, I don't think he will. I think Arizona snags him at 3. I think he could. Actual roster, I think genuinely the team can be, 10 to 11 win season, maybe 12. That might be shooting it up a little bit. But I think we've got, 9 to 10 is going to be my record prediction for our season this year, pre-draft. After the draft, I can come back and do a video about what I think after that if you want. But
absolutely,
as of right now, I think we have a good shot at winning the North. I think, like you said, second to third is probably going to be where we're landing. Maybe first if we play well, but I think second to first to third, anywhere in there. Yeah,
absolutely. And like I said, all right, so real fast, dream scenario, who do you guys get? Keep it realistic. Who do you think you get in the first round?
I think at 6, we're going to take
dreams. Well, let me put it this way again. Dream scenario, but realistic. So Tyree Wilson is realistic. I mean, it's possible.
Right. Realistically, I think we're going to take Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois because I think Tyree Wilson goes to 5 to Seattle. I don't think we want Jalen Carter. And then I think we're either going to trade up or we're going to trade back. I think if we trade back, we're going to probably trade back pretty far. But if we trade up, we're going to trade up a decent amount. And I think we're either going to trade up for, a receiver or another edge rusher. And then if we trade back, we're just looking for later round draft capital and just try to hit some diamonds in the later rounds.
Absolutely. But you're going nuts if your team drafts Tyree Wilson, right? Correct? I mean, that's the guy you want.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. So I'm rooting for you guys to bring in Tyree, even though I want the Raiders to possibly bring him or Stroud in. I'll give you a round of applause if you guys bring in Tyree Wilson, because again, I think that him and Hutchinson coming off the edge would be phenomenal. All right. Now it's a moment of truth, the final Braves part. Here it is again. Again, it's 4 people. You know, it wasn't Commissioner Nutt or Greg. It was other people that I know that ultimately go in and they graded your thing. It's a consensus thing. So after every pick, I'll have you rebut or say is fair. And again, I want to continue to stress that the A's have not been handed out easily at all. I think there may be 1 or 2 A's maybe throughout the entire drafting so far. And we've graded over about 20 teams so far. So let's hop into this. The first category is trades, and they went with a B-. The reason why that I remember what the reason why they went with a B- here was, they noticed that, yes, you brought in Ed Oliver. Yes, you did those things. But again, like you said, it might have been a slight overpay. But the reason why it's a B- is because you went out and got guys that you wanted. And you got guys that had high quality. And you bring in Ed Oliver and he's going to be an instant impact. And you bring in players that right away are going to, make this team try to make a push, strongly into the playoffs. So B-, what are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I agree with it. I think that's a good ranking for it. I'm cool with that.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Draft as a whole, trades, talent, need. They went with a B. Again, this is just kind of more of an overhaul thing. Looking at it from an overall point of view, did you fill in every need possible? Did you bring in the greatest talent? Did you make the greatest trades? As an overall, they went with a B. What do you think about that?
I like it. I'm cool with that as well.
All right, let's go to the next one. Talent, they went with a B+. And again, I was pounding the table for this one too. I mean, when you take my personally number 2 running back, I'm gonna be screaming a little bit, trying to, bump that up a little bit. Then you get Tyree Wilson, who might be my top edge rusher. Again, I'm pushing. Joey Porter Jr. A lot of people love Joey Porter Jr. So what are your thought process here? Do you think it should be a little bit higher, or do you think that's about right?
I think that's good. I think, again, I'm in agreement with that one as well.
All right, and last but not least, need. They went with a B+ as well. I know that there was some debating with the running back thing, but again, I kind of pitched the idea that you already had with, hey, they got aspiring contracts, a running back, and they bring in a really good guy. So you get him, you get, your edge rusher and Tyree Wilson, you bring in, Joey Porter Jr., you fill in most of your needs. What do you think about that one?
I'm cool with that one as well.
All right, cool. So ultimately, you earn 725 GM points. So you can pat yourself on the back. That's going to help a lot going into the future in next year's free agency. Your final score is a 69. I know that might look ugly, but your grade ultimately, because the 69 ends up being a B, and that's that. So anything yet? Well, you know what? Let's go back on camera real fast, and we'll wrap this up. Here we are. We are back. All right. So that's that. What about the overall grades? What's your final recap here?
I'm cool with it. I'm honestly proud of how I did. I agree with a lot of the ratings you guys gave me. Definitely going to try to make improvements for next year. But I think, overall for first year doing it and trying to help out with all the other stuff I did, I think I did a pretty good job.
No, you did an absolutely phenomenal job. And again, like I said, I think that, you got players you needed. And again, the best part is, if we think this grade is low, you get to rebut it halfway through next season or at the end of the season, and we get to go back and look and see how you actually did. Besides that, plug your page one more time and let the people know.
It's Lions Analyst on Instagram. Like I said, drop me a follow. It'd be greatly appreciated. Big things coming. A lot more posts going to be coming soon. So
awesome. Sounds good. That's all from us. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Built Better.